are these people?
Very Cold War-esque problems. America is upset that China's boat went near their boat in their waters. So I just thought the little Eric Andre meme was fun to throw in there. But how dare them? So this is by Caitlin Johnstone. China places country dangerously close to U.S. warship is the title of this, which is just, I love Caitlin. The U.S. military has released video footage of a Chinese Navy ship cutting across the path of an American destroyer in the Taiwan Strait over the weekend, reportedly forcing the U.S. vessel to slow down to avoid collision. A statement on the incident from U.S. Indo-Pacific Command says the Chinese ship executed maneuvers in an unsafe manner in the presence of U.S. and Canadian warships during a routine south to north Taiwan Strait transit by the naval forces of those nations, coming as close as 150 yards from the American vessel. So what this sounds like is that they went in their vector. One guy didn't want to change his course, and so they're playing chicken, essentially. Now I know what you're thinking. What is a Chinese Navy vessel doing in the Taiwan Strait, right where U.S. and Canadian warships are peacefully conducting routine navigation exercises? Well, I don't know if this is news will be as shocking to you as it is to me, but it turns out that China has somehow managed to place its country immediately adjacent to the Taiwan Strait, and now is only 100 miles from Taiwan itself. This narrow channel of water was the only space the U.S. and Canadian navies were given to travel through, placing them dangerously close to Chinese warships and to the country of China. China has yet to issue a formal apology for menacing the U.S. Navy with the unsafe maneuverings of both its battleship and its geographical location. Collin, it's located to a lot of American bases, China. How dare them? How dare they? So this is breaking. The Navy has released video of Chinese warship sailing dangerously close to a Navy destroyer in the Taiwan Strait on Saturday. Now I know this isn't boats smashing into other boats, but we might at least watch some boats. Oh yeah, there they are. That's how close they got. Real menacing, ain't it, Collin?
No.
Yeah, I know, right? So the issue is, Collin, for what a lot of people don't understand, boats don't have brakes. I'll start there. Boats don't have brakes. So you have a lot of tonnage moving through a lot of tonnage of water. Therefore, it's not the easiest thing to slow down. So boats have these things called vectors they use. They're little radar things that just look for other boats in that vector, as well as actual radar that looks everywhere, right? So, it's a cone out this way, right? And it's essentially, if you're in a particular area of that cone, you're going to have to maneuver yourself to stop from having a collision, which is what's known as a near miss, right? If they enter that area of your vector to where you have to slow down or speed up, pretty much. That makes sense, right?
Right.
So, both boats knew they were there, right? Like, it wasn't like, like they could have had a long time like it could have been these people were in this vector or heading into that vector. Does that make sense? Like, so it's just they happen to meet up here. But, crisis averted. No one got hit. Only some, naval dick measuring, pretty much. So, Margarita K on Twitter wants to point out the international waters the U.S. assists on sailing through is right. Hello, there we go. Is right there. Look at that. Oh, look, it's China. Oh, look at that. like that little strait right there is where our Navy is forcing itself to go through. Right? This reminds me of when Reagan was doing flybys of Russia. It's very similar to me. Right?
Right.
But
I wonder if that's the same strait that
Pelosi flew into.
I think so. Yes, because Taiwan's right here.
Right.
You know, so yeah. Pretty much. Nothing in its statement that it was acting in accordance with international law at the time of the incident. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command says that its transit demonstrates the combined U.S.-Canadian commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific, adding that the U.S. military flies, sails, and operates safely and responsibly anywhere international law allows. Which, of course, is true. These are international waters after all, and the Chinese Navy should therefore stay out of the way of U.S. military vessels traveling through them, just as the U.S. Navy would stay out of the way of Chinese military forces traveling a few miles off the coast of California or transitioning between the islands of Hawaii. Could you imagine, Collin? Could you imagine a Chinese fleet moving through Hawaii?
I can.
So the U.S. is only asking for the same freedom of navigation it would afford anyone else. Dude, Caitlin is just chef's kiss. Like, you know, we saw another incident of Chinese aggression and dangerous terrestrial placement on the 26th of May, when a U.S. spy plane was buzzed by a Chinese fighter jet during peaceful surveillance operations over the South China Sea. A statement by the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command called the incident an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver, which interrupted the safe and routine operations of the spy plane. You know, just a spy plane, Collin, nothing specific. So here it is, statement on the PRC on professional intercept. We expect all countries in the Indo-Pacific region to use this, either using that international airspace, right? You know, so it's international, Collin. It's only like a couple of, like, you do realize like international waters like past Miami are like a mile past Miami. Could you imagine that? Like just like a mile out? You know what I mean? 3 miles or whatever. That's international waters. I do believe so. I think that's how that works. That's why like Stilt City was out there. So, but you know, like that's essentially, yeah, international waters are like right off your coast, pretty much. You control your coastline, and then the rest is international. So here's the fighter jet, right? Look at it. Look at it over there. It's gonna do a close flyby. Ready? That's a negative, Ghost Rider. Please don't fly close to our airplane, our spy plane. Whee! Okay, bye-bye. So yeah, like that's it. Real menacing, huh? Real scary display of Chinese aggression, isn't it? Like he didn't turn on the sidewinders and like aim at you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like if he got on your ass, I'd be like, all right, you know, like that's definitely a little, like if he maneuvered to get behind you, like I would say, okay, that's some aggressive posturing. But anyway, Caitlin continues, what the hell is going on here? What is a Chinese fighter jet doing all the way over in the South China Sea? What is it doing, Collin? Obviously, Chinese fighter jets have no business operating in that region, especially when their movements endanger the U.S. spy planes who are flying their peaceful missions there. But, as with the Taiwan Strait, the imperialist aggressions of the Chinese Communist Party have been so expansionist in nature that the South China Sea now sits immediately adjacent to mainland China. How dare they, Collin? How dare they? Here's hoping that China stops with its brazen aggressions against the U.S. military forces who are minding their own business in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea, stops endangering poor defenseless warships and spy planes by moving through waters and airspace they have no business entering in the first place, and starts respecting the rules-based global sovereignty of the U.S. of A. Any questions, Care Bear? Anything you got?
Why we do this?
Why we do this? Well, because, Collin, we need military supremacy. That's why we do it. It's literal military dick measuring to the highest order, and China figures they'll partake. You know, like it's also, we've expanded so much militarily, we think we own the world. So, just whatever. We're just gonna cause us to.
It's just so obvious that we're just trying to. It's like one of my students. I don't have any kids of my own, but like one of my students, like purposely egging another student on by like a drop kick. Actually, one of my students did that to a student today. Just because,
Nice.
well, no, not because he apparently during a special he wanted to go in front of the line,
Mm.
and instead of using his words to say I wanted to try and resolve the issue, he just drop kicked the girl who was in the front of him. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
John
just
H
like
in the chat. We invaded everyone in order to scream about someone taking our stuff, the stuff we stole.
right.
I mean, people have pointed out that like majority of Taiwan wants to stay with China, just like the
Right.
majority of Crimea wants to stay with Russia,